The stars over Earth looked calm that night, but no one on the planet felt peace. News channels around the globe repeated the same words again and again: Prime Minister Alan Reid was dead. Only 12 hours earlier, Reid had been smiling on every broadcast, stepping into the Harmony Summit aboard Unity Station. Leaders from 5 human colonies had joined him there to discuss peace, trade, and Earth's role in the wider galaxy. Cameras captured his confident wave as he left the shuttle dock. Minutes later, everything changed. A burst of energy pierced the main hall. Shields that were supposed to be impenetrable failed in an instant. The explosion was so precise that only one man was killed. Witnesses said a single beam of light cut through the air, struck Reid in the chest, and vanished before security could even trace its path. There was no gunman. There was no weapon left behind. Back on Earth, crowds filled city streets, holding signs, chanting his name, demanding answers. People cried, not only because their leader was gone, but because of how it happened. This was no accident. Someone had sent a message, and that message was carved in blood. Inside the United Earth Council chamber, the atmosphere was tense. Delegates from every nation and colony filled the circular hall. The council speaker called for calm, but his voice shook as badly as everyone else's. This was not an act of terrorism from within, Security Chief Mara Lynn stated firmly, standing at the center of the room. Her sharp eyes scanned the assembly. This was a targeted strike using off-world technology. No weapon on Earth leaves an energy signature like that. Her words silenced the whispers. No one wanted to believe it, but the evidence was clear. For months, there had been rumors that certain alien factions saw humanity as a threat. Earth had grown fast, learned faster, and refused to bow to the older powers of the galaxy. Alan Reid had become the face of that independence, a man who promised that humanity would take its own path among the stars. Now he was dead. Admiral Tomasz Verek, head of Earth's defense fleet, leaned forward in his chair. If this was done by alien hands, then this is not only murder. It is a declaration of war. Careful, warned Minister Rahl of Mars Colony. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned. We do not know which faction is responsible. If we accuse the wrong people, we start a fight with the entire assembly. Mara Lynn shook her head. We do not need to accuse anyone yet. We need to find them. I have ordered every sensor array to scan for ships matching the energy profile. Whoever did this is hiding, but they will leave a trail. Outside the chamber, the world was changing by the hour. Civilian factories switched to military production without being told. Naval academies recalled every reserve pilot to active duty. On the streets, people carried Earth's flag and swore that Alan Reid would not die in vain. In his private quarters aboard the defense flagship Horizon, Admiral Verek studied a holographic map of nearby star systems. His officers stood around him, waiting for orders. We are being watched, he said quietly. Whoever killed Reid wants to see how we react. If we show weakness, they will strike again. If we move too fast, they will claim we are the aggressors. Commander Juno Hale spoke up. Sir, what if they strike at another leader? What if they try to break our unity before we even respond? Verek turned to Mara Lynn, who had just arrived from Earth with new data. She placed a small projector on the table. A faint web of light appeared, showing particles scattered around Unity Station. This is what we found, Mara said. Traces of a weapon that uses phased plasma coils. Only 3 alien warlords in this sector use that design. And they hate us more than most. The room went cold. The officers exchanged dark looks. Which one do you think it is? Verek asked. Mara's expression was grim. The Black Spire Coalition. They've warned us before to stay out of their trade routes. Reid refused. He said Earth will not be bullied. Verek straightened, his voice hardening. Then we will honor him by showing the galaxy that Earth does not break. He opened a secure channel to the United Earth Council. This is Admiral Varek. Effective immediately, all defense fleets are on full alert. I am deploying reconnaissance squadrons to every border system. And I will personally lead the hunt for the assassins. On Earth, in the largest square of New Geneva, thousands of people lit candles beneath Reed's image. His last speech echoed from screens above the crowd. He had spoken of peace, but also of strength. He had warned that humanity must stand together or fall apart. Marilyn stood at the edge of the crowd, unseen, her coat collar pulled high. She knew the hunt would be dangerous. Whoever had done this had advanced ships, hidden bases, and allies willing to kill. But she also knew something else: humanity would not sit idle. The stars no longer looked peaceful. They looked like a battlefield waiting to happen. The night sky over Earth was clear, but Marilyn had no time to admire it. She sat inside a fast transport shuttle headed for the orbital station Sentinel-4, a key hub for intelligence operations. As the shuttle passed through the upper atmosphere, the curved horizon of the planet faded, replaced by the cold black of space. Mara stared out the viewport, her mind locked on one thought: Alan Reed's killers were still out there. Sentinel-4 floated like a silent watchtower above Earth. Its long arms bristled with sensors, scanners, and encrypted communication arrays. The moment Mara stepped onto the station, she was greeted by Chief Analyst Devin Marr, a young officer with sharp features and quick movements. He walked beside her down the narrow corridor, holding a data tablet. "We've been studying the energy traces you brought from Unity Station," Devin said. "The readings match weapons used by the Black Spire Coalition. But we also found something new. The beam had an unusual resonance pattern, almost like someone modified it to make it harder to trace." Mara frowned. "So they knew we would look for them?" Devin nodded. "They planned this carefully. They wanted to kill Reed, leave no clear evidence, and make us waste time chasing shadows." Inside the secure analysis room, screens displayed star maps, intercepted transmissions, and strange bursts of encrypted signals. The room hummed with quiet voices and the steady tapping of keys. Mara joined Admiral Tomasz Varek through a secure channel. His stern face appeared on the largest screen. "Report," Varek said. Mara stood straight. "We have confirmation that the weapon was of alien origin. Modified, yes, but clearly from Black Spire sources. We're tracking unusual ship movements near the asteroid belt in Sector 9. I request permission to lead a covert reconnaissance mission." Varek did not answer right away. He studied her face carefully. "This is dangerous. If you're discovered, they'll claim we violated assembly law by spying. They could use that as an excuse for war." "War has already been declared," Mara said firmly. "They fired the first shot when they killed our Prime Minister. We can't wait for permission from people who fear action." After a long pause, Varek gave a single nod. "You have your mission. I'll assign you a stealth corvette, the Nightfall. You'll have a hand-picked crew. Find me proof, not rumors. Proof we can take to the Council and the Assembly." Mara ended the transmission and turned to Devin. "Pack every scanning drone we have. If they're hiding in Sector 9, we'll find them." Within hours, the Nightfall left Sentinel-4 under the cover of false cargo routes. Its matte black hull reflected no light, and its engines ran on low heat emissions to avoid detection. The small ship glided through the void, silent and deadly. The crew was small but skilled. Pilot Kiro handled the controls with calm precision. Engineer Lonnie kept the stealth systems humming, adjusting the power flow every few minutes to stay invisible. Devin worked at the sensor console, running deep scans for any trace of energy weapons. Mara moved between them, checking every report twice. As the ship neared Sector 9, the darkness grew thicker, broken only by scattered rocks and drifting ice. The asteroid belt was a perfect hiding place, thousands of fragments big enough to shield a base or a small fleet. Hours passed with no sign of enemy ships. Then Devin's console beeped softly. "I've got something," he whispered. A faint energy spike at grid point 37. It's brief, like someone powering up and shutting down quickly. Mara leaned over his shoulder. "Can you isolate it?" "I'm trying. It's weak, but definitely artificial. Could be a ship or a generator." Kiro guided the Nightfall between two massive rocks, using their shadows to mask the corvette's signal. The crew waited in tense silence as Devin fine-tuned the sensors. "There it is again," Devin said. "Stronger this time. Someone's testing a weapon or charging a shield." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Mark the coordinates. We'll send a drone for a closer look." Lonnie launched a tiny probe from the ship's belly. The drone drifted slowly toward the source, its engines barely active. On the main screen, the crew watched as it passed between floating boulders. The image cleared. A jagged asteroid appeared, with sharp towers carved into its surface. At its center, lights glowed in narrow slits, and faint heat signatures pulsed like a heartbeat. Around the asteroid, 3 ships floated in defensive formation, sleek, black, and clearly not human. Devin whispered, "That's them. Black Spire design. No question." Before Mara could respond, one of the alien ships lit up. A narrow beam swept across space, searching. The Nightfall held position in complete silence. If the beam touched them, they would be discovered. "Power down everything," Mara ordered. Not even a whisper. The crew obeyed instantly. The ship drifted like a dead object, only life support running on minimum power. The scanning beam passed dangerously close, then moved away. After a tense minute, the enemy ships powered down again, unaware they had been watched. Mara exhaled slowly. "We have our proof. But we need more. I want to know what they're planning, not just where they are." Devin looked uneasy. "That means we stay longer. If they detect us, we're finished." "We'll take the risk," Mara said. "Alan Reed died because we didn't see this coming. I won't let it happen again." As the Nightfall crept closer to the enemy base, the crew prepared to record every signal, every transmission. Somewhere inside that asteroid, the killers were plotting their next move. Humanity had found the shadow behind the dagger. The question now was how deep the shadow ran. The stealth ship Nightfall glided silently through the asteroid field, its dark hull blending with the cold rocks. Inside, every crew member stayed sharp. They had gathered proof of who killed Prime Minister Alan Reed, but they needed more. They needed to know the scale of the enemy plan before they returned home. Marlin stood behind the sensor console, watching Devinmar trace the transmissions leaving the Black Spire base. The alien ships communicated in bursts of coded signals, short and sharp, difficult to decode. "They're sending orders to multiple sectors," Devin said, eyes locked on the screen. "This isn't just a single assassination. They're moving assets. Probably planning strikes on other leaders." Pilot Kiro frowned as he adjusted their position between 2 massive asteroids. "If they succeed, every human colony could fall into chaos." Mara crossed her arms. "Not if we stop them first. Keep recording everything. Every signal, every frequency. We'll hand it to Admiral Varek so no one can deny who's responsible." The hours stretched on, the crew sleeping in shifts, the Nightfall staying invisible in the darkness. They watched the base with silent determination. Then, late in the duty cycle, Lonnie, the engineer, noticed something new. "One of the alien ships is powering up its jump drive," she whispered. "They're leaving the base." Mara stepped closer. "Track them." "Where are they headed?" Devin's fingers flew over the console. "Calculating trajectory. It looks like they're heading toward the Mars colony sector." Kiro glanced back. "If they attack Mars leadership, we're looking at mass panic." Mara made a quick decision. "We can't just sit and watch. We'll shadow them, stay cloaked, and report their movement to Admiral Varek. The Nightfall detached from its hiding place and followed the alien ship at a distance, engines running silent and cool. The enemy vessel, unaware it was being tracked, slipped past the asteroid belt and accelerated into deep space. As they tailed the ship, Mara opened a secure channel using a tight beam signal. It reached Earth's Defense Command minutes later. Admiral Tomasz Varek appeared on the small hollow screen, his expression grim. "Report, Mara," he said. "We have proof," Mara answered. "The Black Spire Coalition killed Prime Minister Reed. They're planning more attacks. One of their strike ships is heading toward Mars colony." Varek's voice hardened. "Understood. I'm dispatching interceptors from the Horizon Fleet to shadow you. Do not engage unless you have no choice. I want them alive if possible. The Council will need a public trial, not just wreckage." The Nightfall continued its pursuit. The alien ship flew steady, unaware of the danger creeping behind it. Hours later, it slowed near a barren moon orbiting a gas giant. Mara watched as it settled into a hidden docking bay carved inside the moon's crust. "Another base," Devin said quietly. "This coalition has more resources than we thought." "Then we'll make sure Varek knows exactly where to strike," Mara replied. "Transmit the coordinates, encrypted." Back on Earth, news of the assassination still shook every city. People gathered in large crowds outside government buildings, demanding action. The United Earth Council met in emergency session, debating whether to go to the Galactic Assembly or take unilateral action. Some called for caution, others for war. But when Admiral Varek presented Mara's findings, clear recordings of Black Spire ships, weapon signatures, and intercepted orders, the debate shifted. "They killed our leader," Varek said firmly. "They are planning to kill more. If we wait for permission, we hand them time to strike. I recommend immediate mobilization of all defense fleets." The council chamber fell silent. Even those who feared open conflict could no longer deny the truth. Orders were signed within the hour. The message spread quickly across every human colony: Earth is preparing for war. Factories turned to full production. Shipyards launched new cruisers ahead of schedule. Troop transports left orbit carrying fresh recruits to forward stations. Civilian volunteers offered to help in any way they could. Humanity had been shaken, but not broken. On the Nightfall, Mara received confirmation of the fleet's movement. Relief washed over the crew, but it was mixed with tension. The war they had tried to avoid was now becoming reality. As the corvette pulled back from the moon base, Kiro kept his eyes on the sensors. "We've got movement behind us," he said sharply. "One of their scouts picked up our trail. They know someone's watching." Mara reacted instantly. "Full stealth. Prepare countermeasures. We cannot lead them back to our fleet." A sleek enemy fighter closed the distance quickly, its scanners sweeping the void. The Nightfall dodged between drifting rocks, silent but swift. Devin jammed the enemy signal while Lonnie rerouted power to keep the cloak running at maximum. "They're getting closer," Kiro muttered. "Stay calm," Mara ordered. "We've handled worse." At the last second, the Nightfall cut power completely and drifted cold. The enemy fighter raced past, scanning but seeing nothing. The crew held their breath until it was gone. "That was too close," Devin said softly. Mara nodded. "They're suspicious now. Next time, they'll bring more than a single scout. We need to move fast." She opened another secure line to Admiral Varek. "Sir, we've marked 2 confirmed bases and tracked a strike ship to a hidden dock. But they know someone is watching. We need to strike before they scatter." Varek's voice came back steady and cold. "Understood. The fleets are on the move. Your mission now is to stay alive and feed us targeting data. Once we're in position, Earth will answer with force." As the Nightfall turned toward its next target, Mara looked out the viewport at the endless stars. humanity had been underestimated. That mistake would cost the Black Spire Coalition dearly. The hidden base carved into the jagged asteroid spun slowly in the blackness. From a distance, it looked lifeless, just another rock drifting through space. Up close, narrow vents glowed faintly, revealing the energy of weapons and ships inside. Maralyn studied the rotating mass on the Nightfall's main screen, her eyes calm but focused. "This is where they planned Reed's assassination," she said. "And where they are planning more. We need proof strong enough to silence every doubter in the Council and the Galactic Assembly." Pilot Kiro adjusted their orbit, keeping the stealth ship far from the asteroid's sensors. "We can't just fly inside. They'll detect any ship that large." Mara nodded. "Which is why we're not taking the ship. We go in small." She turned to Devonmar and Lonnie, the engineer. "We'll take a two-man shuttle, minimal power, no weapons except personal sidearms. Lonnie, you stay with the Nightfall and keep it hidden. If anything goes wrong, you send the data we have to Admiral Varek." No hesitation. Lonnie gave a stiff nod. "Understood. Just don't give me a reason to press that button." Within minutes, Mara and Devon sealed their suits and boarded a black reconnaissance pod barely large enough for two people. It detached from the Nightfall with no visible exhaust, just a soft push from compressed gas. The pod drifted toward the asteroid like another piece of space debris. Inside, Mara watched the base grow larger. The docking bay was guarded by two Black Spire fighters. The entrance shield pulsed with faint blue light as ships moved in and out. Devon tapped a control panel to match the pod's spin with the asteroid's rotation. "Trajectory aligned," he whispered. "No engine burn, no heat signature. We'll slip in through that maintenance shaft we mapped earlier." The shaft was only wide enough for the pod to squeeze through. It was hidden near the asteroid's shadowed pole, away from main traffic lanes. As they reached the opening, Mara guided the pod using thruster bursts so faint they barely registered on the instruments. "Docking complete," Devon said softly when the pod latched onto the shaft wall. "We're in." The two slipped out into darkness, magnetizing their boots to the surface. Their helmet lights stayed off. Mara led the way down the narrow tunnel, each step measured, every sound swallowed by the vacuum. After several meters, the shaft opened into a dimly lit corridor deep inside the base. The airlock sealed behind them. Gravity returned, weak but steady. The faint hum of alien machinery filled the hall. Devon checked his wrist scanner. Multiple life signs 2 levels below. They're moving around some central command room. Mara crouched behind a metal crate as two Black Spire guards passed. Their armor was dark and smooth, with helmets that hid their faces. She waited until they disappeared around a corner before signaling Devon to follow. They moved carefully through the base, recording everything: weapons stockpiles, encrypted terminals, and dock strike ships being refueled. On one wall, Mara noticed a large map projected in alien script. Devon ran a quick translation program. "This is a strike plan," Devon whispered. "Targets marked on Earth, Mars, and Titan colony. They're planning simultaneous hits on government centers." Mara's jaw tightened. "Get all of it? Photographic sweep. Copy every file you can reach." They slipped into an auxiliary control room, where Devon plugged a compact drive into a terminal. Lines of alien code scrolled across his visor as he downloaded everything. Mara kept watch at the door, listening to distant footsteps and mechanical hums. "Almost done," Devon murmured. 70%, 80%, suddenly, an alarm blared through the corridors, flashing red lights washing over the walls. Mara spun toward Devon. "What happened?" "They found the pod," Devon said sharply. "Sensors picked up the metal when they cycled power to the shaft. We're burned." Mara drew her sidearm. "Pull the drive now. We move." They ran through the corridor as Black Spire troops closed in from multiple angles. Devon fired a short burst from his pulse pistol, dropping one guard. Mara hit another with precise shots to his weapon arm, disarming him before he could fire. "Elevator ahead," Devon called. "No time," Mara replied. "Emergency ladder shaft." "Move." They climbed rapidly, gravity fighting every step. Behind them, shouts and weapon fire echoed up the shaft. A pulse blast grazed Mara's shoulder plate, burning the edge of her suit but not piercing it. She gritted her teeth and kept climbing. At the maintenance airlock, Mara triggered the manual release. The outer hatch opened to black space. Their pod was gone, destroyed by the enemy. "They blew our ride," Devon said grimly. Mara tapped her COMM. "Lonnie, we're compromised. Extraction now." Moments later, the Nightfall appeared from behind a drifting rock, engines still cold to avoid detection. Kiro guided it carefully toward their position as enemy fighters launched from the main hangar. "Jump!" Mara shouted. She and Devon pushed off the asteroid, their suit thrusters firing in short bursts. They drifted across open space as laser fire lanced past them. The Nightfall's airlock opened, and Lonnie pulled them inside just as Kiro rolled the ship hard to avoid incoming shots. "Hold on," Kiro yelled. "They're chasing us." The Nightfall spun through the asteroid belt, weaving between tumbling rocks as enemy fighters gave pursuit. Devon clutched the drive to his chest. "We have everything," he gasped. "Every plan, every target." "Then let's make sure we live long enough to deliver it," Mara said. "Kiro, full burn. Get us out of here." The stealth corvette roared to life, engines blazing for the first time. Enemy ships followed, but the Nightfall was fast, darting through narrow passages that heavier craft could not match. After a tense chase, the corvette slipped into deep space and vanished from enemy scanners. Mara stood in the cockpit, breathing hard. "Send the data to Admiral Verek. Tell him to prepare the fleets. The Black Spire Coalition just declared war on humanity, and we're answering." The Nightfall streaked through space at full power, far from the asteroid base. Inside the small stealth corvette, Marlin handed the encrypted drive to Admiral Tomasz Verek through a secure transmission. His stern face filled the hollow screen as he studied the files Devonmar had recovered. "Confirmed strike plans on Earth, Mars, and Titan colony," Verek said. "Multiple attack waves. If they succeeded, we would have lost every major leader in a single day." Mara stood tall, her voice firm. "We cannot wait. If we give them time, they will scatter. We need to strike their bases now, before they move." Verek gave a single nod. "The Council has authorized a full military response. The fleets are already moving to their positions. Your data gave us exact targets. Mara, I want the Nightfall to guide the first wave." "Understood," she replied. Across every human colony, the news spread fast. Warships left their docks in long lines, engines glowing like sharp stars. Civilians crowded the streets to watch them rise into orbit, waving banners of Earth and Mars, sending silent prayers to the crews who would soon face battle. Humanity was no longer on defense. Admiral Verek's flagship Horizon led the main assault fleet. Carriers, cruisers, and destroyers gathered in formation, their hulls gleaming under distant sunlight. From Titan Colony to Luna Station, reserve squadrons joined the Armada. For the first time, all human forces fought under a single banner. On the command bridge of the Horizon, Verek stood at the center platform, eyes locked on the main screen. "All fleets report ready," said Commander Juno Hale. "Weapons charged, jump drives calibrated." Verek raised his voice. "Set course for the Black Spire base in Sector 9. We will hit them before they hit us." The massive fleet surged forward, engines firing in perfect sequence. Space rippled as jump drives engaged, and the ships vanished into faster-than-light transit. Far ahead, The Nightfall exited stealth mode just long enough to transmit final targeting data to the approaching armada. Maralyn guided her corvette around the edge of the asteroid field, marking defense turrets and hidden fighter bays. Devonmar monitored the sensors. They're scrambling ships. They know something's coming. But they don't know how big. Inside the Black Spire base, alien officers shouted orders as human fleets appeared on long-range scanners. The coalition had expected a slow response, political delay, endless debate. They did not expect a united Earth fleet arriving with guns ready. When the first human cruisers dropped out of faster-than-light travel, the battle began at once. Enemy ships inbound, called Commander Hale aboard the horizon. "Open fire," Varek ordered. Columns of blue plasma lanced from Earth destroyers, tearing through the first wave of Black Spire fighters. Human railguns fired tungsten slugs at near light speed, smashing through enemy hulls. The void lit up with flashing beams as missiles streaked past on fiery trails. Mara's Nightfall slipped through the chaos, cloaked again, relaying live targeting to the main fleet. Kiro flew with unmatched skill, weaving between wreckage and enemy patrols. Lonnie managed the stealth systems, keeping the corvette hidden even as the battle raged around them. On the Black Spire side, heavier warships emerged from the base. Their dark, curved armor absorbed some weapons fire, but Earth's coordinated assault was relentless. "They're trying to flank us," Devon warned. Mara opened a tight beamline to the horizon. "Admiral, redirect Delta Squadron to intercept the left wing. We'll take the rear guns offline from inside." The Nightfall darted toward the base itself, hugging close to the asteroid's surface to avoid detection. Mara ordered a precision torpedo strike against a power relay hidden in the outer wall. The explosion ripped through the base's shield generator, opening a gap for the main fleet. On the horizon's bridge, Varek saw the opening at once. "All ships, concentrate fire on the gap. Push through." Human cruisers surged forward in perfect formation, blasting enemy gun towers to pieces. Fighters swarmed around the heavier Black Spire ships, disabling engines and clearing the way for bombers. The base shook under the impact of repeated strikes. Inside, coalition officers panicked as control systems failed one by one. Attempts to call reinforcements were jammed by Earth signal disruptors. In the thick of the fight, Mara's corvette passed dangerously close to an enemy destroyer. Kiro rolled the ship under its belly just as heavy cannons fired upward, missing by meters. Lonnie released decoy drones to confuse the ship's sensors, and they vanished into the debris. Devon gave a sharp nod. "Enemy main reactor is overheating. If we keep this pressure up, the entire base will blow." On the horizon, Varek received the same readings. He gave the final order. "All ships, disengage from close range. Heavy batteries, full volley on my mark." Human battleships unleashed everything they had. Massive rail slugs and fusion torpedoes slammed into the asteroid base. Fire erupted from every vent. The core reactor went critical and a blinding flash ripped through space as the entire stronghold disintegrated into fragments. The enemy fleet, leaderless and broken, tried to scatter. Earth destroyers hunted them down with precision, disabling engines and forcing surrender. Those few that escaped carried warnings to every Black Spire ally: humanity would not be intimidated. When the last gun fell silent, cheers erupted on every human ship. Maralyn stood in the Nightfall's cockpit, watching debris float past. "One base down," she said, voice steady. "But this war isn't over." On the horizon, Admiral Varek spoke to the fleet and to the United Earth Council. "We struck back today not for revenge, but for survival. The Black Spire Coalition wanted us divided. They will learn we are one people. And we will not fall." Across Earth and its colonies, news of victory spread. Families wept with pride as they watched footage of human ships standing firm. But even in triumph, Maralyn knew the enemy would not give up so easily. Somewhere in the galaxy, other bases still waited, and the masterminds behind Reed's assassination were still alive. The cold vacuum of space stretched endlessly before Marlin as the nightfall approached the heart of the Black Spire Coalition's central command ship. It was massive, black, and angular, a fortress in orbit. Mara's eyes scanned the enemy vessel through the cockpit display. Every sensor showed hundreds of life signs, heavy turrets, and a central command core that pulsed with alien energy. "This is it," Mara said to Devonmar, who sat beside her, his fingers ready on the sensor controls. "The warlord who ordered Reed's assassination is inside. If we stop him, we stop the whole operation." Kiro, the Nightfall's pilot, adjusted their approach. "We'll need to enter stealth and get close to a docking bay. Any wrong move and they'll detect us immediately." Mara nodded. "Lonnie, keep the Nightfall cloaked. We can't afford a fight outside." The corvette slipped between shadows created by the main ship's angular hull, sensors pinging lightly as the crew scanned for defenses. The docking bay loomed ahead, nearly invisible. With careful precision, Kiro maneuvered the Nightfall inside. The bay was empty, the ship's automated systems inactive. Mara and Devon suited up, ready for boarding. The moment they left the corvette, magnetic boots clamped onto the steel floor of the docking bay. The air inside was thick with energy, humming from power conduits running along the walls. Lights pulsed faintly, casting long shadows. Mara moved forward with her pulse sidearm drawn, every sense alert. "This is the right level," Devon whispered. "Sensors indicate the warlord is 2 floors above us, in the command core." They climbed a maintenance ladder, careful to avoid motion sensors. Mara led, her training and instincts guiding each step. When they reached the corridor outside the command room, they paused. Guards patrolled the hall, their armored suits reflecting the dim lights. Mara whispered, "We wait for them to pass, then move. Precision is our advantage, not brute force." When the guards passed, Mara and Devon moved quickly, taking cover behind vents and crates. The central command room doors were massive, reinforced, but a small maintenance access panel on the side offered a path. Devon worked quickly, overriding the lock with a compact hacking device. A soft click indicated success. Inside, the room was vast, lined with holographic displays showing fleet positions, planetary targets, and encrypted communications. And there, standing at the center, was the Black Spire warlord, tall, armored, with a sleek black helmet hiding his face. Mara's pulse quickened, but her voice stayed steady. "You killed Alan Reed," she said, her tone calm but firm. "Your campaign of terror ends now." The warlord turned, voice modulated and harsh. "Humans are weak. I eliminated your leader to teach your species its place." Mara ignored the threat. She raised her sidearm, aiming at his weapon systems while Devon moved to disable the ship's internal defenses. The warlord fired a pulse rifle, and Mara rolled behind a console. Sparks flew as bullets struck metal. "We need to disable him fast," Mara muttered. "Concentrate fire on his exosuit joints." Devon tapped rapidly on his hacking device. Red energy lines pulsed through the room as power conduits overloaded. Lights flickered, alarms blared, and the warlord's systems began to fail. "You cannot stop me," the warlord shouted, charging toward Mara with enhanced speed. She sidestepped, using her training to guide him into a console. Sparks flew as he crashed against it, momentarily stunned. Devon shot a pulse blast that struck the warlord's leg servos, bringing him down to one knee. Mara approached, careful not to give him an advantage. "It's over. You will face justice, not your own pride." The warlord roared but could not rise. Mara secured restraints, and Devon sealed the command core to prevent any more automated attacks. Outside, sensors indicated Black Spire ships trying to flee. Mara tapped her COMM. "Admiral Varek, target acquired. Warlord is in custody. The command core is neutralized." Varek's voice was calm but filled with pride. Excellent work, Mara. Hold position. Fleet strike teams will handle the remaining vessels. Humanity owes you and your team a debt. As the nightfall guided them back to the horizon, Mara took a deep breath. The battle was not just about winning ships or territory. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity would not be intimidated, that their courage and intelligence could overcome even the most advanced threats. On the horizon, Admiral Varek met them personally. "You've done more than anyone imagined," he said. "The warlord will stand trial before the Galactic Assembly. Your bravery proves what humans are capable of when they unite." Mara nodded, tired but satisfied. Devon placed the secure drive on the command desk. "We have all the evidence. Every base, every plan, every ally of the Black Spire. Nothing is hidden." Varek's eyes shone with determination. "Then humanity will use this truth wisely. We fight for survival, but also for respect. The galaxy will no longer see us as weak." From the observation deck of the horizon, Mara looked out at the stars. Debris from destroyed Black Spire bases drifted silently. Yet beyond them, countless other systems awaited, some hostile, some neutral. She knew the war was far from over, but the first strike had been decisive. Humanity had proven it could act with precision, courage, and intelligence. Mara felt a sense of quiet pride. They had avenged Reed, protected countless lives, and shown the galaxy that Earth would not bow. The warlord was captured, the fleet scattered, and humanity's answer had been clear and undeniable. For the first time in months, Mara allowed herself to relax, knowing that humanity's strength had turned a shadow of fear into a light of hope. The war against the Black Spire coalition had ended. From Earth to Titan colony, humanity celebrated victories that once seemed impossible. Streets were filled with people waving flags, cheering for their fleets, and honoring the leaders and soldiers who had risked everything. For the first time in decades, there was hope, and the galaxy took notice. Aboard the horizon, Admiral Tomasz Varek stood on the command deck, watching reports from every corner of human space. Marilyn and Devonmar had returned safely from their infiltration missions, bringing crucial evidence that secured the coalition warlord's capture. The files contained every plan, communication, and fleet position, leaving no doubt of Black Spire's crimes. Varek turned to Mara. "Your bravery, and the success of your team, has changed the course of history. Humanity is no longer underestimated. The galaxy will remember this day." Mara nodded, though her face was serious. "It wasn't just us. Every fleet, every soldier, and every civilian who prepared for war played a part. Humanity acted as one. That is why we won." Devon added, "We have the coalition's remaining forces under surveillance. They can regroup, but their leaders are in custody, and their fleets are scattered. It will take years before they could pose a serious threat again." Varek smiled faintly. "That is time humanity will use wisely. We rebuild, strengthen alliances, and show that we can defend ourselves, but also that we can lead with justice and wisdom." On Earth, the United Earth Council held a public ceremony. Crowds gathered in New Geneva Square, where holograms displayed the captured warlord, the destroyed bases, and the heroes of the war. Mara, Devon, and Admiral Varek were present, receiving honors for courage, intelligence, and leadership. The council speaker addressed the assembly. "Today, humanity has proven its place in the galaxy. We have been attacked, but we responded with strength, strategy, and unity. Let this be a message to all: Earth will not be intimidated, and those who threaten peace will face justice." The crowd erupted in applause. Flags waved, children cheered, and veterans of the fleet stood proud. For the first time in decades, humanity felt truly recognized. Mara stood quietly, watching the celebration. She thought of Alan Reed, the Prime Minister whose vision had united humans across colonies. He had warned that strength and courage must go hand in hand, and now, that vision had become reality. Humanity had not only survived, but it had earned respect. Devon approached her. The Black Spire warlord will be taken to the Galactic Assembly for trial. With our evidence, there is no doubt of his guilt. It is a victory for justice, not just for war. Mara nodded. Yes. Justice matters. But it is also a reminder that we must remain vigilant. There are others in the galaxy who might challenge us. Varek joined them, placing a hand on Mara's shoulder. And humanity will be ready. Today, the galaxy has seen what we are capable of. It is not fear that drives us, but resolve, courage, and intelligence. That is why we will always survive. In orbit above Earth, the Nightfall and Horizon Fleet formation gleamed in the sunlight. Every ship represented courage, determination, and the will of humanity. From the youngest pilot to the seasoned admiral, each had contributed to a new chapter in human history. Meanwhile, in captured Black Spire sectors, leaders were taken into custody. Their fleets were disarmed, bases dismantled, and communications controlled. Across the galaxy, neutral worlds took notice of humanity's power. Some feared Earth, some respected it, but all understood one truth: humans were no longer weak. Mara looked down at Earth, a blue and green jewel floating in space. Cities sparkled, oceans shimmered, and clouds drifted lazily across continents. For the first time since the assassination of Alan Reed, the planet felt at peace. She turned to Devon. The galaxy is watching. Now it is our choice how we show ourselves. We can be protectors, leaders, and examples of strength used wisely. Devon smiled. We've shown them what humanity can do. Next, we show them who we are at our best. Mara allowed herself a small smile. Yes. And we do it together. As the Horizon Fleet returned to its stations, signals from across human space celebrated the same message: Earth and its colonies were united, prepared, and respected. Humanity had risen above tragedy, and the galaxy had learned to take notice. In the distance, stars shone with a new clarity. They were no longer silent observers but witnesses to the courage of a species that refused to bow. Humanity had answered the challenge, and in doing so, had earned its place among the stars. For Marilyn, for Devon Mar, and for every human across Earth and its colonies, this was a new dawn. A dawn of strength, unity, and endless possibilities. Humanity had been tested and had emerged stronger than ever. The galaxy had been warned. Humanity would not be underestimated again.